All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, September 11th. We got ourselves a 9-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video for all of my final plays so that I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest, if you do want to fade me, all of that absolutely free down in the pinned comment. In terms of last night, a nice little 5-0 sweep. Fire off the money gun, baby. Let's go 5-0. Now, I will say that was much needed. Let's pump in some damn crowd noise, right? We had the Diamondbacks on the money line for plus 114. That comes through. Yankees and Tigers over 7.5. That was a little sweaty, but thanks to the Tigers, they just absolutely got to the Yankees bullpen. But Flaherty and Rodon actually pitched pretty damn good games. The Reds and Padres first 5 and first 3 under, relatively not sweaty. And then the Twins team total under 4.5. One more cha-ching. Go ahead and drop a sweep down in the comments, guys, if you are pumped about the sweep. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Before we do dive into today's slate, I do want to let you guys know that we have football content rolling out here on the channel. On Wednesdays, that is when our football week in terms of content kind of begins. H to H and our Thursday Night Football Plays video both dropped yesterday. H to H was a really fun one this week. Tassos and I were at each other's necks, and yeah, I might have bullied him in that video, so go ahead and check that out. And then Thursday Night Football, obviously we have the Packers and the Commanders. We had our standalone video for that, so go ahead and check both of those out on the channel. But what do you say we go ahead and dive into today's slate, guys? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, let's go ahead and get rocking here. First game we're looking at is going to be the Orioles taking on Pittsburgh. On the mound here for Baltimore is going to be Cade Povich going up against Johan Oviedo. I don't necessarily love the idea of Cade Povich on the bump at a minus 144 price tag. He's been meh in his last few starts since coming back up. Johan Oviedo has actually been okay, right? This season, his numbers don't look all that bad. He's not allowing a lot of base runners due to hits or anything like that. I will say that this Baltimore team, I would think, is better, but ultimately, are they minus 140, minus 150 better? I don't think so. So in a low-scoring game, I think the Pirates could pull this one out. So far in this series, it's been 2 games to Baltimore, 3-2 and 2-1. Who's to say that we can't see like a 3-2 win for the Pirates, right? So I lean towards the Pirates in this one and the under 8.5. I will admit, I don't foresee this being a final play because, again, we're putting a lot of trust in Oviedo, but he's been okay on the road this year, and he's good against lefties. You know, Jackson Holliday, Gunnar Henderson, Colton Cowser, Basaeo, or whatever his name is. A lot of lefties in this lineup, right? So maybe it is a actually fairly decent spot for, you know, Johan Oviedo to actually go out there and pitch fairly well. All right, next game up here, we have the White Sox taking on the Rays. White Sox get the win yesterday, 6-5. It really wasn't on the back of Sean Burke, right? The Rays, I think, put up 4 on him. Actually, no, I think he only pitched 4 innings, so maybe he only allowed the 1 run. But ultimately, obviously, a high-scoring game in general. I don't know if I see it going like that today. We do have the White Sox with Shane Smith on the mound, who he's actually been decent in his last few starts here. I mean, you could say that one against Detroit, not so much, but before that, 3 of his 4 starts were actually really, really good. And I'm thinking about that Kansas City one, which was only, 2 or 3 starts ago. That was like his best start of the season by far. 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, 0 earned. He's going up against Ian Seymour, who obviously has been starting a couple games in a row now, and he's had 8 strikeouts through 5 innings in both of those starts. Only allowed 1 run in those 2 starts, so 0 against Cleveland and then 1 against Washington. I still think that, you know, the money's probably, the money line is probably the play on the White Sox. But if I were to get to anything in this game, it's those second 2 plays. The first 3 under 2.5 and the first 5 under 4.5. I think that both of these pitchers can, 1, get through the lineup, you know, the first time through, which would be damn good. Obviously, that's the first 3. But 2, keep it relatively low scoring here in the beginning of the game. In terms of our projection model, we have this at a 2-2 game after 5 innings. Actually, in the full game, it's only a 4-3 game as well in favor of Tampa Bay. So maybe this is just unders all the way around. Again, I do think that we have some good pitching on both sides in terms of starters, but kind of underrated names. You know, I say this now, and it's going to be like they got shelled for 1 million runs in the first few innings. But still, I do think that Smith and Seymour can kind of hold down the fort at least for a little bit. I'll also throw in the fact that we should see, Seymour looking really good on the road. He obviously pitches in a tough ballpark, but whether it's relief or starting this year on the road, I think it's 0.65 whip on the road, a 148 average against. At home, Shane Smith's average against is 183. So both of these guys could be pretty damn good in the situations that they're in today. So first 3 and first 500 are two things that I would definitely look at. Now, guys, before we do move on with the rest of the games, I want to talk to you about Epic Fantasy. If you guys don't know what Epic Fantasy is, it's a new DFS player prop app that's on the market right now, and I've been absolutely loving it. Now, they have their more or less based on players set projections that you put into an entry. The more you get correct, the more you get paid out. They have that, right? The thing that separates them from the competition, and I mean it, is the fact that they have better payouts in terms of multipliers. They have better lines, so you can get more beatable lines over there. Not sure if the founder wants me to be saying that, but truth is the truth, right? But what's also really, really cool, and I've talked to you guys about this, is they have the Fatum section. You could see in the graphic next to me, that is highlighted on the pick'em, but at the top of that screen, you could see something that says Fatum. You can go into that section of the app and scroll through all of the other users' entries, right? So say I put in a 2-man or a 3-man or something like that, and you could say Ev does not know what he's talking about, right? You can fade it. You can take the opposite side of it, and what's really cool is that all you have to do is you have to get one correct. So, if I had 4 plays and I got 1 incorrect out of the 4, I hit 3 of my 4. That's still pretty damn good. All you'd have to do is be on the opposite side. You get that 1 correct, and guess what? Boom, you end up cashing. It is really, really cool. I highly encourage you guys to go ahead and check it out. Use the code GUYBOSTON, link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. You also get your first deposit matched up to $50. Check out Epic Fantasy. They got a ton of stuff coming on the way too, including some more promos and stuff like that. So go check it out. Test out that Fatum section. Really been enjoying the app's interface and how easy it is to use as well. Very much looking forward to continuing to sink my teeth into this bad boy. So go check it out, guys. It's available in, I believe, 38 of 50 states and counting. So go check it out, guys. Link. I've said go check it out like 10 times now, but link down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Let's get back into these games. All right, Toronto taking on the Astros. It's been a split series so far, right? 4-3 win for Toronto in game 1. Yesterday, game number 2, 3-2 win for the Astros. On the bump today is going to be Kevin Gausman. He's starting up against Christian Javier hasn't looked all that great on the road. I mean, some of his numbers are all right, but realistically on the road, a 3.5 whip. No bueno. 300 average against, a walk rate that's like over 20%, but obviously somewhat of a sample size there that we have to consider, right? One thing that I will say, and if we check it out over on Baseball Savant here, by the way, guys, baseballsavant.com, head to the probable pitchers tab. This is a great free tool. It's so easy to consume too, very clean. Gives you the pitcher versus the lineups, the actual players in the lineup or on the roster. You can see here, Gausman has some really, really good numbers against this Astros lineup. So for me, that kind of puts it over the top. I do lean towards the Blue Jays in this spot. I would say team total over is also something that I'd be looking at from them, just because, again, I don't know if I trust Javier on the road all that much, but Blue Jays for -158 is asking an awful lot. But I still remain the idea of, or keep the idea that, or I should say the point remains that this Blue Jays offense is better than the Astros, right? So yeah, I lean towards them as well as their team total over. The only thing that kind of turns me off a little bit, and it is a small thing, you can see in our MLB dashboard, guys, which can be found at GuyBostonSports.com, you can see that he's going to throw a ton of splitters. That's a pitch that Gausman obviously likes. It's like the only pitch that Houston's hitting really, really, really well right now. And I will say Altuve, Correa, Sanchez, kind of the meat of that order doesn't hit it all that phenomenally. He's also going to throw the fastball. Okay, well, from a bird's eye view, Houston's not hitting the fastball all that well. But the top of the order hits it well. So maybe the pitch mix could get a little dicey for Gausman. But again, his numbers speak for themselves against this Astros team. I think that, maybe Toronto team total over is the spot, because then it allows Houston to score as many runs as they want. Maybe they can even win the game. As long as Toronto does their job offensively, we could be looking at a cash here. So keep an eye on the final plays to see what or if we do roll with something in that one. Moving on, we got the Marlins taking on the Nationals. Ryan Weathers on the bump for Miami, going up against Brad Lord. Now, I've been pumping a lot of air in Brad Lord's tires this season. I've also, by the way, seen Mackenzie Gore's name thrown out there, but I do think it is Lord pitching, which in his last few starts prior to, I guess, if you X out his last start against Chicago, he actually looked pretty good. But prior to that, things started to fall off the wagon for him. But I don't necessarily love this, Miami lineup anymore. They were really pesky and definitely drove in a lot of runs a little while ago. But to me, kind of off that train. So I do think that Lord could pitch okay. On the other side, like I mentioned, it's Ryan Weathers, and this is a team in Washington that has really been struggling against the left hand. Do I think Weathers is all that phenomenal? No, but I think both pitchers could pitch fairly well. I do think that this Washington team should have maybe a little bit of pop behind them, so I'm going to lean towards the Nats, but I think that first 5 under is actually a sneaky play that could work its way into being a final play. Again, I think Lord, his pitch mix should be okay. Fastball, slider, those are 2 bottom 5 pitches for this, this Miami team. And then Ryan Weathers on the other side of things, fastball, changeup, even slider, all should be pretty good. So yeah, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily walk in thinking, oh my God, I have to back, Brad Lord or Ryan Weathers, but I think this could be a good spot to get a first 5 under for them. Right now, you can get first 5 under 4.5 for -125, or if you want to pay a little bit more, -165, first 5 under 5 over on MGM. I'll probably, if I do roll with it, take a peek at that first 5 under 4.5, just because I think there's a little bit more value, and they're either going to, this is either going to be like a 2-1 game after 5, or I think 8-6 or something like that. You know what I mean? If this loses, it means that we were off and neither one of these pitchers looked all that sharp. So I don't mind taking that lower number here. So give me that first 5 under. I think that actually has a strong chance of being a final play. I think I'm talking myself into it. I know I mentioned it already, but I did want to talk to you guys about the MLB dashboard in a little bit more depth here. If you do want access to it, GuyBostonSports.com. Head over to the members area and sign up today. You can see the MLB dashboard here. We have team data and team trends sort of at the top. We have some money line and game total, weather data. We also have park factor now pulling in. Pitcher data is on the left, both from the starter and the bullpen perspective in terms of, how many pitches they've thrown, their role, their ERA, the arm they throw with. We have batting data here in the middle for the team against specific pitches because we do have the pitcher pitch mix as well. And then we also have the projected starting lineup and, how they do against the hand that they'll be seeing, both average, OPS, as well as against specific pitches. So a lot of cool stuff in this dashboard here, guys. Head over to GuyBostonSports.com, check it out. You can also check out our NFL dashboard, which I know we're talking baseball, but this thing is an absolute beauty. Each and every game, a bunch of key stats and some really cool stuff that we're working on here too. This is a matchup analyzer in a sense where we have 6 ratings. Very easy, fairly easy, right? And then very tough, fairly tough, and tough. So those 6 sort of buckets to tell you if it's a good matchup or not on the other side of things for each of these players. And, some really cool player prop stuff here as well that can help you out from a player prop, but also a game perspective with the 2 starting quarterbacks. So some really cool stuff, guys. If you do want to sign up, head to that sign up section. I would recommend getting the all sports dashboard because you're going to save yourself a couple bucks if you're interested in both of these. So GuyBostonSports.com, go check it out. Yankees taking on the Tigers. We had the over in this one yesterday. And you know what? I don't necessarily hate the idea of an over today, but I'm a little turned off of this Yankees squad, which is kind of funny because I do lean Yankees today simply because I think that Cam Schlittler can actually pitch okay against this Detroit team. They aren't hitting righties all that phenomenally. They're more of a lefty hitting team as of right now, and Schlittler's going to throw a bunch of fastballs. We know that this is not a very good fastball hitting team. He's got a 1.2 ERA over his last 5 starts, and also throw in the fact that, he's had a couple shutouts through 6+ innings. That was against Tampa Bay and Washington. I do think that he could pitch okay, and again, I don't even know, even though I lean the Yankees in this spot, again, Sawyer Gipson, I don't even know if I said it yet, Sawyer Gipson Long is going to be the starter here. He struggles against righties, so Judge, Stanton, I think that we could see good games out of them. Specifically, I'm looking at Stanton because I do like the pitch mix. But again, the Yankees, it's a lot of juice here. I just back Schlittler in this spot, and then I don't mind. I don't know if I can fully get to an over because I don't know if the Detroit Tigers are going to do exactly what they did last time. And then what if, I'm talking in circles here, but what if the Yankees just continue to be mutes, right? Like they, in their last few games here, listen to this, 1, 2, 4, 3, 1, and then before that it was 8, 7, 7, call 8-7-7 cash now. But I mean, it's just they're just too sporadic. So yeah, I'm all over the place in this one. I would say maybe just Stanton's over in hits, runs, and RBIs or something like that could be something to look at because I like that matchup, and we're trimming a lot of fat and getting rid of a lot of question marks. So yeah, you could probably tell in my voice this is one where I've definitely ping-ponged around and I'm kind of still on the fence. All right, Guardians taking on the Royals. Of course, the Royals win the game yesterday, in which we don't look at them. But today we have Gavin Williams on the bump going up against Steven Kolek. I just talked about being on the fence. This is also one where you could definitely make an argument on both sides. Gavin Williams has 2 good starts in a row. He's gone 7 innings in each of those, pitched 95 pitches. He's pitched 90-plus pitches in 4 straight starts. Last time against this Cleveland team, the Royals, he pitched 6 innings, 2 earned. The one before that, 5 innings, 2 earned. So pretty decent stuff out of him. I just don't know if I can fully get behind their offense, right? Their offense really is struggles them, and Kolek has a 5 or 6 pitch mix, so I'm sure he'll be able to find pitches that work for him today. And on the other side, Gavin Williams throws, also 5 pitches, but the curveball and the slider being 2 big pitches there. Number 8 against the curveball, number 8 against the slider in terms of runs above average last 30 days. I'm doing it, guys. Royals, I think that the Royals can give a little bit of juice here. Now, if we roll with this as a final play and they end up losing, we will be sure to, I'll take your guys' advice because I've seen it in the comments plenty. We'll be sure to engrave a nice little headstone there for the Royals in the DMB graveyard because they deserve it, right? We've been losing with them a lot lately. That's if they become a final play, but I feel like they are the better offense in this spot, and I'd hope the better bullpen, even though both bullpens are fairly tacked. So I still lean towards the under because, again, I don't think Cleveland has a very good offense. And then this Royals team, every time you think they're going to do okay, boom, the rug gets pulled out from underneath them. Also, I guess a little tidbit would be that, if they lose this series, it's a 3-1 series loss, which, not that it really, really matters, but these two teams are only a half game away from each other in terms of the wild card race. Are either one of them really viable options to get there? Maybe not, but it would make somewhat of a difference, right, in terms of them competing with each other and giving themselves the best shot. So Royals probably don't want to drop 3 games out of a 4-game series against this Guardians team, but they could very well do so. I just really do think that, Kolek could be in a good spot, and then the Royals are the better offense. Oh, I'm going to end up rolling with the Royals again, aren't I? I feel like I am. All right, next up, we have the Phillies taking on the Mets. It's been all Phillies all series so far. 1-0 win game 1, 9-3 win game 2, 11-3 win in game number 3. So, yeah, I don't think you're feeling too good if you're the Mets right now, who are only 2 games up on the Reds to stay in that wild card race. So I think it's fairly important to note that this Mets team needs some wins, right? Now, Jesus Luzardo's on the bump here for the Phillies. He's really, really good against lefties. So yeah, you could take out Soto and Nimmo in that lineup. But outside of that, the righties are really what have, the guys that have gotten to him. And that's going to be Lindor because he's a switch hitter. Vientos, Pete Alonso, Starling Marte, Francisco Alvarez, who's been actually hitting really, really well. So I think this could be a spot to think about the Mets scoring some runs. I lean towards the Mets for the plus money as well as their team total over. You flip it over to the Mets pitcher, David Peterson, who's obviously very good. He did get a little hit up by the Phillies in his last time out, but what I like about him, and you can even see via our dashboard, is he's phenomenal against lefty hitters. You ever heard of, Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper? There's not many lefties in this lineup today, but 2 of the better ones in the game are right there. So yeah, I do like the spot here, I think, to take a swing at the Mets. In terms of that team total number, let me get an updated line so we can know exactly what we're looking at here. But I do, again, kind of like the idea of, minus 130 for over 3.5 runs from the Mets. They haven't done that in 5 games, but I really do think that they can put up a decent number here. If you date back to last year against this Phillies team, they've done it in 66% of games, 60% against lefties, when on the road overall, 57%. I think this could be a spot in which the Mets score some runs. I'll probably end up throwing that in. Minus 130 for over 3.5 runs. I do kind of like the spot. So I would say you can expect that as the final play. I'm almost there with pulling the trigger on the Mets money line though too. I think that if they get some run support, and obviously the Phillies already feel pretty damn good about themselves, winning 3 games of this series, could be a flat spot for them. So we shall see. But yeah, Mets team total over is probably what I look at here, if you couldn't tell. All right, we got the Mariners taking on the Angels. In this spot, the Mariners coming off of 5 straight wins. They just swept St. Louis. Before that, they took 2 of 3 with 2 massive games against the Braves. The Angels also won their series, 2 of 3 against Minnesota. I do think that this is probably a Mariners spot. I get it. I'm not trying to say that it's not. And also their wild card seeding is pretty damn important too. They're a game and a half up on the Rangers, so they want this win. But realistically, and I'll tell you right now, I don't think I get there myself, but with Jose Soriano against Bryce Miller, I think that gives the Angels enough viability to potentially be the spot in this game. But I don't think it's because Bryce Miller is going to absolutely get hit up. He's actually started to turn things around a little bit. I mean, his last start against the Angels was pretty damn bad, but nonetheless, I just think that Soriano can kind of suppress this Mariners offense for a little bit to give them a fighting chance that is worth the price tag that we have right now. So that's how I'm viewing it. But again, I don't want to mislead you guys or blow smoke up your, you know what, and act like I'm going to roll with this myself. This is just a slight lean, but for plus 150, the Angels would be the only thing that I look at here. I don't necessarily love the idea of Bryce Miller at nearly minus 170 in this spot. You know what I mean? And again, I don't think the Angels are going to absolutely smack up Bryce Miller. So if they were to win, I think it's in a low scoring affair. All right, last but not least, we have the Padres taking on the Rockies. Randy Vasquez on the bump going up against McCade Brown. I don't think that this is the best of spots for picking a side because you do have San Diego, but they're favored at minus 244. And realistically, Randy Vasquez is not a guy that I'm absolutely in love with. Now, against this Colorado lineup, maybe so. His last 3 starts, 2 of which being this year, 1.7 ERA against them, pitching into the 7th inning, 4 strikeouts per game. So maybe we could back the Padres to some degree, but they're probably somewhat of a parlay piece. Or I actually look as this being a good spot for the Padres to get their offense going because it's been a little stagnant, and potentially same thing with Colorado. Maybe they do hit Randy Vasquez fairly well. I mean, I don't mind the pitch mix, a fastball, sinker. You're even gonna get some, changeups, curveballs. Those are decent pitches here. Not necessarily the curveball. I think the Rockies stink at it in the curveball, but again, fastball, sinker. If you see the changeup, like some pitches that they might be able to hit. And this is a lineup that 8 of the 9 guys have a better average against righties than they do lefties. So yeah, maybe an over 8.5, especially with the the San Diego bullpen being fairly taxed here in this spot. We could see some hits coming out of them. Now they're pretty, knock on wood, safe in where they are wild card spot wise. They're 3 games up in the wild card and 4 games still back of that number 1 seed of the wild card. So they have a little bit of cushion. They may walk into this series a little slow, knowing that it's the Rockies and they should be able to beat them and all that. So if you like Colorado, more power to you. I can't get there today, but if you like Colorado, I would almost say then let's roll with the over, because I do think the Padres offense gets right to some degree here. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. A reminder that we do have the H2H week number 2 show out, as well as my Thursday night football plays. If you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment 22. Really do appreciate you spending some time with me. And yeah, let's keep rolling in the MLB. I know everybody's focus is on the NFL, which is fair. Mine is to some degree as well. It's obviously awesome. Feels like Christmas morning as a adult here with the NFL, but MLB is still there, and we are still rolling in and had a 5-0 sweep last night. You gotta love to say that, right? We'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.